Well, China's internet giants weren't spared from the volatility seen on global markets over the past couple of weeks. But after a wild ride, they're now close to pre-correction levels. Let's bring in Bloomberg Intelligence senior internet analyst Wei Sun Ling. Wei Sun joining us here right now. Everyone was saying, after these markets corrected, that these were the times to buy into some of these Tencent names once again, because we've shaved off these high valuations. But how are you seeing them right now?
Well, I mean, if you managed to buy when it dipped, then you would have been very good because the dip was so short. Right?
It's too easy almost, right?
And these companies are now trading back at almost pre-correction levels. And I mean, if you look at their valuations from a price to earnings ratio perspective, Tencent, Alibaba, they are at or above 3-year highs. Baidu is not really trading that high. It's the cheapest amongst the three, but that's because I think the market is not so warm about the search growth outlook. Right? But I think if you look at Alibaba and Tencent, even though their valuations are rich, it's, I think, justified because their growths actually much faster than before. In fact, the revenue growths of Alibaba and Tencent at 60+% level, it's the fastest in the past couple of years. So trading at 3-year highs, I think that's probably justified.
Yeah, just a bit of a shake, I guess, but we're back to those highs again. E-commerce companies, though, you mentioned Alibaba, them along with JD, they've been spending quite a bit and making offline acquisitions recently. This kind of fit into this whole omni-channel, online, offline trend, right?
Yes. I think we will see a lot more of this. In the last couple of months, there was a large number of acquisitions. Wanda Commercial Properties, Wanda Cinema, Sanat, Yonghui Groceries, and so on. But really the objective, I think, one is to expand the addressable market and potentially target customers that are offline. Two is to raise the usage of their mobile payment systems, Alipay, WeChat Pay, and in the process actually collect valuable offline customer data. The integration of online and offline services would provide value to customers because it improves their experience. But at the same time, it also gives the internet companies a much better picture of the user because they can now see online consumption and offline consumption. Potentially, this data can be used for advertising, better targeting, and so on.
Yeah. So what does that mean for online advertising? Now they have this treasure trove of data, potentially.
Yes. And the recent results, right, from online advertising companies like Baidu, Weibo have been quite robust. And I think we can see big data being put to use in the region, in the segment of online advertising. Artificial intelligence is now being used to serve up content that's more relevant to users, and it's also being used to serve up advertising that's more targeted to the user. So it's a trend that we should continue to see in the next couple of years.
What about the trends, though, in online gaming? You saw Tencent's Honor of Kings. What is going to be the next hit game, the next blockbuster in China?
Yeah, Honor of Kings, as we all know, has been the top revenue-generating game in China for the last 1-2 years. And it's aged, right? And I think slowdown is inevitable. It still is the #1 game in China, but it cannot possibly be generating a very high level of revenues for a very long time. In recent quarters, we've seen a new genre of game emerge. It's survival shooter games, battle royale games. And on that front, NetEase is actually a first mover with 2 titles that did very well in China. And Tencent recently is launching PlayerUnknown's Battleground, a tie-up with Bluehole, a Korean developer, and that potentially can do very well as well. So I think this genre is something that we should be watching, but who's the ultimate winner, it's very hard to say right now.
And the global ambitions, what kind of global ambitions do they have?
Oh, these companies over the past couple of years, they have gained a dominant position in their respective segments in China. So the logical next step is actually to move outside of China. So for Alibaba, for example, Southeast Asia, acquisition of Lazada, they're putting a lot of focus on the Indian market. Tencent, it's about games. With NetEase has launched a very successful battle royale game called Rules of Survival, and it's a global hit. So we will see a lot more global expansion, I think, from these companies in the next coming quarters.